Now this is the demonstration on posterior cranial fossa. Content of this fossa is cerebellum and pons and medulla. Cerebellum is separated from the occipital lobe of brain by this tentorium cerebelli. So this posterior cranial fossa is covered by this tent-shaped fold of dura mater that is known as tentorium cerebelli. The bones forming this posterior cranial fossa, these are, you can see this is the petrous temporal bone. Then this is sphenoid bone. This is occipital bone. And here inferolateral angle of parietal bone. Now in the floor of this posterior cranial fossa, you can see this is a large foramen. This is known as foramen magnum. This foramen magnum is around 3.5 centimeter this anteroposteriorly and around 3 centimeter in transverse dimension. On the medial aspect, you can see these tubercles are there, and these tubercles, they give attachment to alar ligament of the dens. Alar ligament of dens convert this foramen into two parts, small anterior part and large posterior part. Small anterior part transmit apical ligament of dens to upper band of cruciate ligament and membrana tectoria. These structures are arranged also attached on this clevus, which is a sloping plate of the bone just in front of the foramen magnum. So on the clevus, the structures from before backward attached. These are membrana tectoria, upper band of cruciate ligament and apical ligament of dens. Sometimes dens also protrude from this foramen. So this compartment of the foramen magnum is known as osteoligamentous compartment, while posterior compartment behind alar ligament, this is known as neurovascular compartment, and it transmits medulla oblongata. From this level, the medulla oblongata is known as the spinal cord. So the medulla oblongata along with spinal meninges, then the vertebral arteries which unite to form the basilar artery on the clevus. So vertebral artery along with sympathetic plexus of nerve, then spinal root of accessory cranial nerve. Sometimes the cerebellar tonsils, they may also herniate from this region, and it also transmits anterior and posterior spinal arteries. Now this posterior margin of this foramen magnum, from here a bony ridge is passing in the median plane. This is known as internal occipital crest. This internal occipital crest here, this internal occipital crest, it extends till internal occipital protuberance. So this is internal occipital protuberance. Below, near the foramen, this internal occipital crest, you can see here, this is Vermian fossa, which is related with the inferior vermis of the cerebellum. This crest, that is the internal occipital crest, it gives attachment to the falx cerebelli. This is internal occipital protuberance. At this internal occipital protuberance, here you can see from there transverse sulcus is starting. The lips of this transverse sulcus, it gives attachment to the posterior margin of the tentorium cerebelli. This transverse sulcus continues with the sigmoid sulcus. Transverse sulcus lodges transverse sinus and sigmoid sulcus lodges sigmoid sinus. Sigmoid sinus continues with the internal jugular vein. Now this is the clevus. This clevus is formed by union of the basisphenoid and basiocciput. This clevus is related with the pons and medulla oblongata, in front of which there is basilar artery, which is formed by union of two vertebral arteries. It also related with the basilar plexus of veins. And here we have seen the attachments at this lower part of this cleavage. Here you can see this part which is at the lower border of this petrous temporal bone. It lodges inferior petrosal sinus, which is the first tributary of internal jugular vein. Now here, this is the jugular foramen. This jugular foramen is divided into three parts. Anterior part, it lodges this inferior petrosal sinus. Middle part, it transmits 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerve. And the posterior part, it transmits internal jugular vein, which is a continuation of sigmoid sinus. Now, here, this is the posterior part of petrous temporal bone. In this, you can see there is this foramen is there. This is the internal acoustic meatus. This internal acoustic meatus transmits 7th and 8th cranial nerve. 7th is the facial nerve and 8th is the vestibulocochlear nerve, along with the labyrinthine artery. So structures passing from internal acoustic meatus is facial nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve and labyrinthine artery. Here you can see just behind it there is subarcuate fossa, which is related with the neural process and some blood vessels. On each side of this foramen magnum you can see the hypoglossal foramen. This hypoglossal foramen transmits the hypoglossal nerve, which is the 12th cranial nerve. Just above this you can see this is tuberculum jugulum. Here this is related with the 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerve. At the anterior end of this jugular, here near it there is a pyramidal space which lodges inferior ganglion of the glossopharyngeal nerve. Right transverse sinus is continuous with the superior sagittal sinus, while the left transverse sinus is continuous with the straight sinus of the brain. Here these sinuses, these are the venous channels of the brain containing venous blood. Here there is inferior petrosal sinus, while this upper border of petrous temporal bone, it lodges superior petrosal sinus. So here superior petrosal sinus and below inferior petrosal sinus. On the internal occipital protuberance, there is confluence of the sinuses called transverse sinus, then sagittal sinus, straight sinus, they meet here. So this is known as torus hierophili or confluence of sinuses of the brain. So this is about this posterior cranial fossa. Thank you.